man, this is so wild. But you had it right on the nose, Ark. I mean, this was at minimum going to be a close match. Check out Mameshi over here. 9 kills for the guy. And Reject, they tried the cheese man, but that Janet was just about the toughest thing for them here because they could not get her a super.
Niwa. You know, Ark, like, when you were breaking it down, I was like, well, you just joined the correct side. I didn't realize how close it was when you were explaining this analysis, how measured you were in exactly choosing this. And I'm sorry that you feel regret, but I do believe, based on what we've seen, Reject has what they need to do to cover this last hurdle. Do we believe? Or are we still sending our energy?
But it's still early days. And I'm glad you mentioned that, Seltzer, because I'm going to throw Trav under the bus here, because in our caster chat, when we were discussing this, and I was saying about, my reasoning, he said that we don't need to know your reasoning, Art. We don't care. You don't have to talk about it. You don't have to justify it. Just, whatever, basically. And it really, I find it just so warming that we finally have someone on the desk that can really resonate with the thoughts and things that I like to put forwards here. It does mean a lot to me, honestly.
Teach me, Sensei. I am but a sponge this season, and I cannot wait to soak it all up. It's already been so much fun so far. Everybody else, please pitch in, though. I don't want to be fully arced out, okay? Ready? Hit me with some info.
Hashtag Team Arc. Spam me in the chat. We're going in. As a map and mode, is this where they could potentially tie things up, put Reject in the dust?
It's going to be challenging. I mean, honestly, Ark, I think you're the only one that's bold enough to call a Niwa win before we even see the draft. So let's see it unfold and make a call accordingly. Okay, I know you're not Team Melody, especially not Team Melody first pick, but this is going to be pretty good at disrupting backlines, I believe. Reject had that last pick. It would be the ideal time to pick a thrower. Niwa going ahead and going for this quite early on could bait out some of the more important counters that Niwa need to see before they can assess whether they go for some of the stronger throwers here for their 4-5.
Hit? Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay, wow. Woo! Ooh. Nice to see some variation, isn't it, in the draft? But is Poco the play? I don't know. I'm not a massive fan of Poco as that kind of like heal idea for a hot zone. It hasn't really been prevalent for a long time now. I don't know how I feel about it, to be completely honest, so far. The loot band I quite like on the side of Reject. That would be my first kind of ideal go-to pick. Has got the range, the B, not a bad shout, but are they going to break the map? I mean, the Griff is banned, right, on the side there of Niwa. So, I mean, and that's not going to fare too well by breaking the map and leaving the Poco exposed. So, there are some questions, I feel, on the side of Reject, just a little bit in terms of the draft. There we go. Frank kind of come in as well. I mean, Juju is available here, by the way, as well. And that's what I want to see. Call. Pair them up, because if they didn't do that, that Frank was going to be banging trouble. And now Reject might have the weaker draft here.
Yeah, let's go through like the chain of thought here, because when you see the Poco, you go like, okay, well, that's going to be really weak against B, so they better pick it. And here comes the B. And then I think, okay, well, what do they plan to finish this off with? Oh, Frank, the obvious thing. So Niwa are kind of like forced to pick it. And then you make the Juju call because she snuck through the draft long enough. And then there's Stu to finish things off. So Stu, his DPS, not going to be really the answer to Frank. That's what B is going to be accomplishing here. But as you mentioned, Ark, we got to see some wall break. So that is one of the primary functions that Stu is going to fulfill here. If Frank doesn't already do the job for him. Hopefully he's able to keep his distance also from Melody, act as an anti-Melody measure into the Juju. Actually really accurate because they got like a good AoE, you can auto aim them, they hit the ground pretty fast. This is going to be challenging. I mean, Reject, I think, really clearly had a vision where they're like, let's get that Frank, and if they pick it, then we're going to have some kind of countermeasure to it. So if you're banking on a Reject win, you're going to have to trust in this process that Stu was what they needed to deal with Frank.
It's not just Stu, it's Stu with Shu. Like, that's the thing, and that to me makes me very excited. And he's gonna be able to farm off the Frank, dash around. I think that might have been the thing to make me feel much more confident with Reject's ability to control this situation. And with that, they clear house. Niwa are on the floor, and Reject are on the zone. almost approaching now 50%, and this is honestly a very, very good starting hand. Good value. Batsman already has the hypercharge and the heals coming in now as well, and Kriya's low, Meshi's low as well. And behind this, the hypercharge there of Shu coming in. He might be able to get what he does, but Chovy now is going to be the final boss on that zone, and both of them trying to contest it.
My goodness, every time Chovy fires off a shot, Shu is out of that line of sight. Kriya taken down, Meshi, the next up on the menu. But Juju is here for the appetizer, trying to trap Shu on the right side. Not quite successful as he heals with every single super. And Kriya in for a last-ditch effort. A hypercharge that amounts to nothing except for some zoning. But he's got to know that he's feeding more and more hypercharges to Battleman, who's just gotten his second of the game. That's tough to do with Poco, by the way. Chovy taken down by Melty, and Shu going in to finish things off with a hypercharge. Not even going to get stunned by Kriya. We know which way this one's going. It's reject, leading us to a match point again.
Who would have thought that we would see Reject fight back like this in the final hour after continuously losing in this series to their opposition? They finally managed to muster something up, and it's working. But will we see some resolve? Can Niwa bring us to a match point? Because that's what I want to see. But can they do it? At the moment, this Stu pick really has shone through and given Reject a bit of space to work and maneuver with, and they're already on the zone at the beginning as well, getting some early Poco heals in. Niwa taking their time on this. They're not going to go on the aggressive too soon. That was a clutch catch it there in the mid there. Honestly, that kept the melody in the conversation, but only Justin. Niwa looking a bit sheepish and not getting on the zone. They've got to go a little bit aggressive here.
Oh man. Battleman taken down. Melty
Nice.
Also eliminated by Mameshi, who's been tearing up the right side, though he's faced a bit of that, tearing up of the grass and the obstacles from Shu.